Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
That's right.
They are tired about hearing about Daniel in the lion's den.
Well, come on.
That they are asking the question today, what has the Lord done for you lately? They want to hear about a true and living God. They want to know, what has God done in your life to change and turn your life around? Now, my brothers and my sisters, we are mixed up, because I believe that when we get saved, we think that we ought not to tell where we've come from.
Well, come on.
I think that we get to the point, especially professional church people, forget where they've come from. And then you come into church and see these people sitting in the church, deacons and trustees and choir members and ushers, and you really think that they are holier than God. You really believe that they are God's first cousin. Let me tell you the truth. That is a facade. That is a lie. Because we need to understand that everybody in the church came from someplace. They didn't walk in the church with a three-piece suit on. They didn't walk in the church all dressed up and ladies with their big hats on. They were something before they got them hats. They were something before they got those titles. They were something before they act like that they're God's first cousin. And I want to suggest to you today at Kingdom Life, if we are going to make a difference in the life of people, we've got to understand that they want to know, what has God done for you lately? They want to know, where has the Lord brought you from? What has he done in your life? And let me say to you that you ought not to be ashamed to tell folk where you've come from. You ought not to be ashamed to tell people how far the Lord has brought you. You ought not to be ashamed to tell somebody where you came from. I came from the guttermost to the uttermost. I came from the streets and the Lord saved me. I was an alcoholic and the Lord picked me up. I was a drug addict and the Lord turned me around. You ought to don't be ashamed to tell your story. Because you notice in the Bible that there are some people Jesus healed, but that there are others that he healed and he gave them specific instructions. When the lame man was laying on the bed, Jesus healed him, but he told him to take up his bed and walk. Now, why would Jesus want the man who has been crippled and laying on the bed, why would he want him to take up his bed and carry it with him? He wanted him to do that because when we get saved, we forget where we've come from. When we get saved, we forget what God has done for us. So he told him, I want you to carry your bed. So you won't get holy and high-minded. So you won't get so sophisticated and cute. So that you'll understand when somebody sees you, you'll have a testimony to tell. And so this morning, I want to suggest that you tell your story. Tell your story. On your job, tell your story. In the marketplace, tell your story. In the supermarket, tell your story. To your friends, tell your story. And when they ask you, how did you make it? How did you come through that? How did you survive? You can tell them Jesus did it.
Yeah.
And the Bible says that they came not because it was a festival, not because it was a Jewish holiday, but they came because they heard what Jesus did for Lazarus. And if you don't know the story, the Bible says that he was in the grave 4 days. And Jesus messed around. And it's always baffled me the fact that Jesus, this was his friend. This was his buddy. This was his ace on coon. It was his hideaway place. And the Bible says that when Jesus got word that Lazarus was sick, the record is that Jesus didn't get in a hurry. He stayed around there lollygagging and talking to people and all that kind of stuff. And then when he got the word that Lazarus was dead, the Bible says that he is not dead but sleep. And the disciple said, if he is asleep, he's doing good. And Jesus, the Bible said, let's go now. Let's go now. Now, why in the world is Jesus going to go if Lazarus is dead? And the Bible says that when Jesus got there, the funeral was over. The wake was over. He was wrapped in death clothes. And the Bible says Jesus was brokenhearted and even weak himself. But when he got himself together and said, come on here, flesh, you need to know who I am. I'm sorry that he's sick. I'm sorry that he died. I'm sorry that he lay in a tomb. But I am the resurrection. I am the life. And the Bible said that he got to the tomb. And the old black preacher said that if he had just said, get up, everybody in the cemetery would have gotten up. But the Bible said that he called him by name. He said, Lazarus, come forth.